hit the subscribe button. Currently only 1.7% of my viewers are subscribed. Once we hit 1,000 subscribers, I'll release an exclusive special video just for you. Captain, the sensors are going haywire. Elena Rodriguez's voice crackled over the intercom, slicing through the usual hum of the Odyssey's control room. Captain Jane Walker's eyes darted to the main display, her heart pounding as the ship's readings fluctuated wildly. Elena, divert all power to the thrusters. Max, any ideas on stabilizing our trajectory? She commanded, her voice steady despite the chaos. Max Hunter, the ship's rugged Australian engineer, quickly assessed the situation, his brow furrowing. We could try an overload of the auxiliary engines, but it's a long shot, he replied, his hands already moving to execute the risky maneuver. The Odyssey shuddered violently as it was dragged toward the swirling maw of a black hole. Jane gripped her chair, knuckles white, as the gravitational forces intensified. Do it, Max. We've got no other choice. The crew scrambled, their faces etched with determination and fear. Elena's fingers flew over her console, rerouting power while Max's eyes were glued to his instruments, his mind racing through possible outcomes. Hold on, Jane shouted as the ship lurched forward. The stars outside the viewport elongated into streaks of light, the black holes pull relentless. With a final, deafening roar, the Odyssey was swallowed whole. Silence enveloped them as the ship re-emerged in an unknown part of the galaxy. The black hole's grip relinquished. The crew breathed a collective sigh of relief, but their respite was short-lived. Before them loomed a colossal arena, its metallic surface gleaming ominously under the light of distant stars. Jane's gaze hardened as she took in the sight. "What is this place?" she muttered, her mind racing to comprehend their new reality. Without warning, the ship was caught in a tractor beam, pulling them towards a docking bay. "Brace yourselves," Max warned, his voice tinged with a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The Odyssey settled with a jarring thud. The crew, still reeling from their ordeal, exchanged wary glances. The bay doors hissed open, revealing a group of alien guards, their armor glinting menacingly. "Identify yourselves," one of the guards demanded in a guttural tone, their weapons trained on the crew. Jane stepped forward, her chin held high. "I am Captain Jane Walker of the Earth vessel Odyssey. We mean no harm." The guard's eyes narrowed. "You are now participants in the Galactic arena. Refusal to comply will result in immediate termination." Max's jaw tightened. "This just keeps getting better," he muttered under his breath, his sarcasm failing to mask his unease. The crew was escorted through labyrinthine corridors, the metallic clang of their footsteps echoing ominously. The air was thick with tension, each member of the Odyssey acutely aware of the peril they faced. Finally, they were herded into a vast chamber. The arena was a brutal testament to combat, its floor scarred and stained. Alien spectators filled the stands, their cheers a cacophony of excitement and anticipation. Jane scanned the crowd, her mind racing. They had to survive not just for themselves but to find a way back to Earth. She turned to her crew, her resolve unwavering. "We stick together. We fight smart. We'll get through this." Max nodded, his eyes meeting hers with steely determination. "We're with you, Captain. All the way." As the arena's gates began to close, sealing them inside, the gravity of their situation settled over them like a shroud. They were strangers in a hostile land, forced into a deadly game of survival. But Jane knew one thing for certain. They would fight with every ounce of their strength. The stakes had never been higher, and failure was not an option. The roar of the crowd reached a fever pitch as the first opponent emerged from the shadows, a towering figure bristling with weaponry. Jane tightened her grip on her makeshift weapon, her heart pounding in her chest. "Let's show them what humanity is made of," she declared, her voice resolute. The metallic clang of the arena gates echoed ominously as they sealed shut behind the crew of the Odyssey. Jane's heart pounded as she faced the towering figure advancing toward them. The alien's armor gleamed under the harsh lights, a menacing reminder of the deadly game they had been thrust into. "Stay sharp," Jane instructed, her voice low and commanding. Remember, we've faced worse odds. Max tightened his grip on his makeshift weapon. His eyes locked onto their opponent. Let's see what this brute's got, he muttered, a defiant spark in his gaze. The alien lunged, its speed belying its massive size. Jane sidestepped, swinging her weapon with precision. The clang of metal on metal rang out as the crew moved in sync, their survival instincts honed from countless battles. As they fought, the crowd's roars grew deafening. The alien stumbled, taken aback by the humans' coordinated attack. Max saw an opening and delivered a decisive blow, toppling the giant. The arena fell silent for a heartbeat before erupting in a cacophony of mixed reactions. Shock, disbelief, and a grudging respect. Jane wiped the sweat from her brow, her gaze sweeping over her crew. Well done, everyone. We've proven we're not to be underestimated. Their victory was short-lived as the guards herded them back to their quarters, a stark reminder of their captivity. The quarters were sparse, with bare walls and minimal furnishings, but it offered a brief respite from the constant threat of death. Zura, the alien healer, approached Jane with a cautious respect. You fought well, Captain Walker, but the arena masters will not be pleased. They thrive on our despair. Jane nodded, her mind already racing with plans. We need to find a way to turn this to our advantage. We need allies and we need information. Max leaned against the wall, his arms crossed. I've been talking to some of the other captives. There's a network of resistance forming. They're looking for a leader. Jane's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. If we can unite the captives, we might stand a chance. But we'll need more than just numbers, we need a strategy. Elena joined the conversation, her usually composed demeanor strained. I've been mapping the arena's layout from what I can observe. There are weaknesses in their security, places we can exploit. Jane placed a hand on Elena's shoulder, her voice steady. Good work. Keep gathering intel. We'll need every advantage we can get. As the crew discussed their next steps, the tension in the room was palpable. Each member was acutely aware of the stakes, but there was also a growing sense of determination. They were no longer just fighting for survival, they were planning a rebellion. Max's eyes met Jane's, a silent understanding passing between them. We'll show them what humanity is made of, he said, echoing her earlier declaration. The lights in their quarters dimmed, signaling the enforced night cycle. Jane lay on her bunk, staring at the ceiling. She couldn't afford to let her guard down, not even for a moment. The weight of leadership pressed heavily on her, but she embraced it, knowing her crew depended on her. As she drifted into a restless sleep, her mind churned with strategies and contingencies. The next battle loomed, and with it, the chance to further their cause. Jane knew that every move they made was critical, each decision a step toward either liberation or doom. The faint hum of the arena's machinery lulled her into a light sleep, a brief reprieve from the ever-present danger. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight, Jane allowed herself a moment of hope. They had survived the first test, and with unity and determination, they would face whatever came next. Max's whispered words hung in the still air of their quarters. We've got one shot at this, he murmured, his eyes scanning the alien guards patrolling the perimeter. The hum of the arena's machinery was a constant reminder of their precarious situation. Jane nodded, her mind already forming a plan. Elena, what's the weakest point in their security? Elena unrolled a hastily drawn map of the arena. Here, she said, pointing to a less guarded entrance near the storage facilities. It's a supply route. If we time it right, we can slip through unnoticed. Zura leaned in, her eyes serious. We must be careful. The arena masters are vigilant. One mistake and we're all dead. Max's jaw tightened. Then we make sure there are no mistakes. The next day, the crew moved through their routine with a heightened sense of purpose. Every glance and whispered word was loaded with the tension of their impending escape attempt. Jane maintained her calm facade, but inside, her nerves were a coiled spring. Their opportunity came sooner than expected. During a particularly chaotic match in the arena, the guards were momentarily distracted. Jane signaled her crew, and they slipped away, moving swiftly and silently through the maze of corridors. Max took point, his senses on high alert. Every shadow seemed to breathe menace. Every sound amplified their anxiety. "Stay close," he whispered, leading them toward the supply route. They reached the entrance Elena had marked. The door hissed open, revealing a dimly lit passage. Jane motioned for silence, her heart pounding. They crept forward, the tension palpable. Suddenly, a figure loomed ahead. Rax, the gruff gladiator they had befriended, stepped into the light. "I've been waiting for you," he said, his voice low and gravelly. Jane's eyes narrowed. "Are you here to stop us or help us?" Rax's expression softened slightly. "To help. The arena masters have pushed us all to the brink. It's time to fight back." Zura stepped forward, her voice urgent. "We can't stay here. We need to move." Rax nodded. "Follow me. There's a safe place where we can gather our forces." They moved quickly, Rax leading them through a series of hidden passages. The air was thick with the scent of metal and sweat, the faint sounds of the arena fading behind them. They emerged in a cavernous room, dimly lit and filled with captives from various species. Jane addressed the group, her voice strong. "We have a chance to change our fate. Together, we can overthrow the arena masters and reclaim our freedom." A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Max stepped up beside Jane, his voice carrying the weight of their determination. "We're not just fighting for ourselves. We're fighting for everyone trapped here." Elena began distributing supplies, her movements efficient and precise. "We need to coordinate our efforts. Communication is key." As they planned, the tension in the room shifted from fear to resolve. Each captive brought their unique skills to the table, forging a unified front against their oppressors. Just as their plans solidified, a distant alarm echoed through the corridors. The arena masters had discovered their absence. Jane's eyes met Max's, a silent understanding passing between them. Their time was running out. Rax raised his weapon, his voice a low growl. "It's now or never." Jane nodded, her heart steeled for the battle ahead. "Then let's show them what unity can achieve." The captives moved as one, a tide of resolve and desperation. As they surged forward, the walls of the arena seemed to close in, the stakes higher than ever. Each step brought them closer to freedom or to their demise. The distant alarm reverberated through the corridors, a harbinger of the impending confrontation. Jane's heart pounded as she led the captives through the labyrinthine passages. Each step was a gamble. Every corner turned a potential trap. "We need to reach the central control room," Rax said, his voice a low rumble. "It's the only way to disable the arena's defenses." Jane nodded, determination etched on her face. "Max, take the lead. Elena, stay close and cover our rear." Max moved with the precision of a predator, his senses attuned to every sound and movement. The flickering lights cast eerie shadows on the walls, the scent of metal and ozone filling the air. He paused at a junction, listening intently. "All clear," he whispered, signaling the group to advance. As they neared the control room, the tension grew palpable. The hum of machinery and the distant roars of the crowd outside the arena provided a constant backdrop. Jane's mind raced with contingencies, ready for any outcome. Suddenly, a squad of guards appeared, blocking their path. The air crackled with energy as the two groups faced off. Jane raised her weapon, her voice ringing out with authority. "Stand down, or face the consequences." The guards hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty in their eyes. Max seized the moment, charging forward with a ferocity that sent the guards reeling. The captives followed, a tide of desperation and resolve sweeping over their adversaries. Elena's sharp commands directed their movements, her tactical acumen guiding them through the skirmish. Zura's healing skills were put to the test as she tended to the wounded, her calm demeanor a beacon of hope. With the guards subdued, Jane led the way into the control room. The chamber was a hive of advanced technology, screens displaying the arena and its surroundings. She quickly located the main console, her fingers dancing over the controls. "We're in," she announced, her voice taut with concentration. Rax watched the door. Max, Elena, help me with these systems. Max's engineering expertise shone as he deciphered the alien technology, his hands moving deftly. Got it, he said, isolating the security protocols. We can shut down the defenses from here. Elena monitored the screens, her eyes sharp. They're mobilizing more troops. We need to act fast. Jane's fingers flew over the controls, her mind a whirlwind of calculations. Disable the arena's power grid. That should buy us some time. The lights flickered and dimmed as the power grid shut down, plunging the arena into chaos. The distant roars of the crowd turned to confusion and panic. Jane turned to her crew, her eyes blazing with resolve. This is our chance. We need to rally the captives and seize control. Rax's deep voice carried authority. Follow me. We'll take the fight to them. As they stormed through the corridors, the captives' numbers swelled, their unified determination an unstoppable force. They encountered pockets of resistance, but their momentum was unyielding. Each clash brought them closer to freedom, the taste of victory within reach. They burst into the arena, a wave of humanity and allied species. The arena masters, perched in their high seats, watched in stunned silence as the rebellion unfolded before them. Jane raised her weapon, her voice echoing through the cavernous space. Today we reclaim our freedom. Today we show the galaxy the strength of unity. The captives roared in unison, their voices a symphony of defiance and hope. The arena masters scrambled to respond, but it was too late. The tide had turned, and the power dynamic shifted irrevocably. As the dust settled and the captives stood victorious, Jane surveyed the scene, her heart swelling with pride. They had done the impossible, defying their captors and forging a new path. The journey ahead was uncertain, but they faced it together, united by their shared struggle and newfound freedom.